Hi there, this is Glenn Whitledge, and I'm about to introduce something really, really cool. I mean, what could happen that's so important that even I would get out my selfie stick? Because this episode of The Hot Zone, it's not the 50th, it's not even the 100th, this is the 200th episode of The Hot Zone. Do you realize how important that is? Star Trek on TV only lasted 79 episodes. This is amazing!
This is The Hot Zone. Engaging with the news in a whole new way, international war correspondent Chuck Holton brings insight into areas of crisis and lets you help those affected.
Hey folks, Chuck Holton here. Thanks for watching the podcast. It's a very special episode this episode today because it's the 200th episode of our podcast. And wouldn't you know it, I happen to be driving on our way back to Florida to fly back to Panama tomorrow after being in the States for about 10 days. And I know it's a big surprise to all of you that I happen to be traveling, but that's just how it goes. So I wanted to do something a little bit different for today's podcast. I wanted to dedicate it to you, the viewers, because I'm just so gratified that so many of you are enjoying the podcast, getting a lot out of it, and participating by sending your donations, your support, your encouragement, so that we can keep it going. And it means so much to me. You guys are really something. So I just reached out to several of our regular listeners who I thought might be crazy enough to participate in today's podcast and just hear from some of you about why you like the Hot Zone. So here's some of those. Take a look.
At the risk of making a fool of myself in this ugly color, Chuck has asked me to come on and share with you why I watch the Hot Zone. I watch it because there is nothing like it, ever. You cannot find one member of the modern media that will go out and get the stories that he gets and takes the risk that he can and brings it to you in such a live and fresh way. But then he also takes his heart with him and he sees where there are needs. And then he becomes our hands, he becomes our legs so that we can go out and participate in what is happening. Nobody does that. There's not a single member of the media that does that. And yet they will award each other all these prizes and congratulate themselves. But nobody is doing this. It's scriptural, okay? And it actually helps people. That's what we need. That's what we need. And if nothing else, he will inspire us to do the same thing in our own communities. That is the reason to watch the Hot Zone.
Hi, my name's Angie, and I am an original podcast supporter and member. I watch the podcast that Chuck puts on because I know him, and I know he is a man of integrity. Also, I watch because I can see real people and not just what the flashy stuff the network news wants us to see. So I would highly recommend watching the podcast, seeing the real people, and learning what is really happening in these areas and not just what mainstream media wants you to see. That's it. Just watch. Oh, and congratulations, Chuck, on the 200th episode.
Hey, Chuck, it's Mark, and I'm here just to tell you that we all have really been enjoying your podcast, even though your face is better suited for radio work. I'm just kidding, Chuck. But in all seriousness, congratulations on your 200th episode of the podcast. I can't believe you've already made it there. Truly amazing. And I love all your content, everything that you've been doing. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
I'm Corey Faldy from Georgia, and I've been listening to and watching the Hot Zone podcast with Chuck Holton since the beginning. Really enjoy the focus on world events, the exclusive interviews. I rewatched Hot Zone podcast number 93 this morning, doing some research about the situation in Haiti, and it was very useful. I've enjoyed the content so far, and I look forward to more.
I have known Chuck Holton for a good many years, and I was most excited whenever I found out that he was going to do a podcast. I very rarely miss an episode, and I enjoy getting accurate, honest, heartfelt reporting that shows the true side of things that are going on around this world.
Hey Chuck, congratulations on your 200th episode of The Hot Zone. Some of the reasons I enjoy listening to The Hot Zone are it's a really good alternative to cable news and talk radio, which I do listen to a lot of. But Chuck is really well connected, so listening to his programs, you're going to hear things you're not hearing elsewhere and layers of information that comes straight from the source. So I appreciate that because sometimes, I don't always understand why decisions are being made, such as, women in Nigeria. Why are they pregnant and having their 5th child when they can't even feed themselves? Or why is a woman needing to resort to prostitution in Venezuela? Are there alternatives to that? And the other side of it is sometimes decisions will be made in different countries that on the surface seem legit, but in Chuck's reporting you can find that sometimes there's a negative byproduct or destabilization or something that gives me more information to shape my views. So I do appreciate that. And another part of it is just that I just trust Chuck. And, he's a good person. He's a good man, great family person, and an excellent reporter. So he's got that experience and that seasoning that I can really appreciate. Chuck is a compassionate person, and you can see that in his reporting. But beyond that, some of us enjoy providing donations to the Hot Zone so that when Chuck's out there, he can meet needs, immediate needs. And part of that is, just buying a pair of shoes for someone or providing food or helping them find transportation from point A to point B and just making their lives better. And even though it might seem like a little thing to us, it's life-changing for some people in other situations. So I enjoy supporting that. It's a triple blessing. It's a blessing to them, a blessing to Chuck, and certainly a blessing to us. So whether Chuck is in Venezuela, Colombia, Nigeria, Israel, Syria, all over the world, I appreciate the local flavor he shows too with his backdrops and his interviews. So it's just a very well-rounded program, but it's still good, solid news. And so, Chuck, again, congratulations. I appreciate what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, and God bless.
Hello, my name is Tyler. Whether it's a natural disaster or a humanitarian crisis, Chuck Holton is there with his podcast, The Hot Zone. Chuck travels the world, bringing you the stories that you just won't find anyplace else. I get so tired of turning on the television every day and you see nothing but politics, and I just find it very refreshing. Thoroughly enjoy the Hot Zone. Watching Chuck networking with other people, helping everybody that he can along the way. Well done, Chuck, and keep it up. Keep up the good work. Hey, big thumbs up for the Hot Zone.
All right, so that was awesome, and I really, again, thank you so much, all of you. And if you didn't get a chance to send me your little video, or if it didn't get included for some reason, I'm sorry about that. We'll do it again sometime soon. Nevertheless, I didn't want to leave you without giving you something. And actually, I was looking through some of my old videos yesterday, and I found this package from Iraq. And it was actually my first trip to the war zone. It was the first package I ever made from the war zone. And it was, I think, 2005 or 2004, something like that. And it really kicked off my career as a war correspondent. But as I was watching this last night, I realized that this could be today. I mean, everything that happened in that package, everything that was talked about in that package, all of the troops that were interviewed in that package, if we aired that thing today, it would be completely relevant. So I wanted to give you a little piece of that, just a trip down memory lane to my very first war correspondent package ever for CBN. Take a listen. Let's begin in the city of Tikrit, best known as Saddam Hussein's hometown. Forward Operating Base Danger occupies a sprawling compound of 68 palaces that the former dictator built for himself and his family. This island used to belong to Saddam's sons. But today this area is a training center for new Iraqi security forces and has graduated more than 1,500 Iraqi soldiers and policemen. This palace is now the headquarters for the 42nd Infantry Brigade, which is comprised of 23,000 active-duty Guard and Reserve soldiers from 29 states. Its commander, Major General Joseph Toludo, laments that the mainstream media doesn't show the progress that's being made in the region.
Nobody reports the attacks we stop. They don't report the SV bed that we catch at a checkpoint. They don't talk about the thousands of people we have arrested here since we've been in North Central Iraq and put in jail with evidence.
This is a sentiment echoed by some of the general's troops who are closer to the front line. Here's Staff Sergeant Graver, a guardsman who in civilian life is a New York City firefighter.
We brought them schools, hospitals, and a lot of other things that people don't see. A lot of intangibles out there that nobody has measured as at this point in time. You see in the news a lot about deaths, rioting, and stuff like that. You need to go out and count how many generators are put in, how much electricity has come back online, how many irrigation ditches have come in, how many new sprinklers, new farms. There are a lot out there.
In addition, the United States will soon be turning this base over to the new Iraqi government. 40 miles downriver is Samarra, a town of 200,000 in the heart of the Sunni Triangle. There hasn't been much reported from here lately either. In fact, our crew was the first media team to enter Samarra this year. It's considered to be an insurgent stronghold, one of the most dangerous places in Iraq at this time. And the unit we were embedded with has lost an average of 1 soldier a month since they've been here. But even in this bleak city, progress is being made. Forward Operating Base Brosfield Mora is the command post for operations inside Samarra. Lieutenant Colonel Mark Wald commands the unit.
They don't want, if you talk to the average man on the street, they don't want coalition forces to leave. They love having the U.S. over here. We treat them with dignity and respect. We treat them fairly. We provide them with economic opportunity. We are all about trying to make this place a better place. The insurgents don't have that to offer them.
In pursuit of this mission, the Civil Affairs team here has completed over 150 humanitarian projects in the last 9 months. This place might not look like much, but this is one of the ways that the U.S. is working to help the Iraqi people get back on their feet so that our guys can come home. This is going to be an electrical power substation that will provide electricity for the city of Samarra. This water plant, paid for by coalition funds, pulls 2 million gallons a day out of the Tigris River and pumps it into the city. Here, a fire station in the city gets a new generator. And this new police station is being built in the center of town. But these projects are not without their setbacks. At a local college, the headmaster complains that the new lab building funded by the U.S. has been delayed by problems with the builder.
I will convey what you're telling me. I will tell the commander.
This kind of challenge is being seen throughout the country. Much of the chaos seen in Iraq these days is as much from common criminals as it is from insurgents, which underscores the importance of these types of projects.
Many of the people in Samarra have no real economic opportunity right now as long as the insurgency stays the way it is. And so instead of joining the Iraqi army for a few $100s a month, they can put a roadside bomb out for $100. Whether they're effective or not, they're going to make more doing that right now than they would if they joined a legitimate enterprise.
And so while fighting the insurgency is a big priority, bringing economic stability to the people of Iraq is just as important in the long haul. Captain Radcliffe Anton is a physician's assistant in Bakuba. From his perspective, things are definitely getting better.
Well, I think the news give you the picture that Iraq is on fire and it's burning down, and that's not what we find here day to day. Back in March, April timeframe, we would generally see 8-10 people a week coming through with significant head, thoracic, abdominal injuries. And over the last few months, those numbers have decreased to the point where we'll go 3-4 weeks without seeing any injuries at all. The news kind of broadcasts things that are sensational, and the everyday victories are not necessarily newsworthy in their eyes. To say that a school has been constructed, most people don't want to hear about things like that. But for us, it's a steadfast improvement, and we see it day to day.
This is the great thing about being an American. We have the ability to show other cultures hope, and we can show them exactly what it is to be free, to be able to have the right to choose in what you want to do, whether it's a right to religion, the right to free speech, the right to protest if you want, without the fear of being killed in public. We have the ability to show the rest of the world what freedom really is.
While most of the soldiers we talked to believe their work here is far from over, all of them said that they think a stable Iraq will eventually make the whole world safer. How long that'll take, however, remains to be seen. Chuck Holton, CBN News, Iraq. All right, folks, that's it. Amy's telling me I got to keep my eyes on the road, so thanks for watching the podcast. Amy, I also have to say thank you to her. She's been very helpful today, especially editing together the podcast while I'm driving down to Florida. So thanks, Amy. I love you, sweetie.
The Hot Zone is produced by Amy Holton and Livefire Media. Copyright 2019.